Welcome to Football Friday, everybody. My name is Mike, and today is a long video, so this portion is going to be really quick. Most importantly, out of anything we talk about today, I just want to let you guys know that next week there will be no Football Friday, and then the following week we will be actually changing to Wednesday's weekly wrap-up. The reason why we're doing that real shortly is because Thursday is kind of the start of the week, right? We have Thursday night football, and then the week comes after that. So I just want to make sure that I am wrapping up the week on Wednesdays. So again, not next week, we will not have any football video, but Wednesday after that, we'll go ahead and start that, but I'll make an announcement video here in a week or so. So, that being said, let's hop into this quick, rapid version of my weekly Friday news. Let's get it. First up, football's back, baby! Jets, Browns, last night. It was a phenomenal game. Not because it was that entertaining, but because it's back. It's finally back. The Browns won. Who the fuck cares? It's a preseason Hall of Fame game. It doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. But it was nice just to see real NFL teams competing against each other. Pretty fucked. Alvin Kamara is suspended, and he's suspended for 3 weeks because of the fighting incident that happened in Vegas. Doesn't really matter, though, because the Saints, they have Jamal Williams, which is an amazing running back, and he will carry the team on his back. Doesn't matter where he is, Green Bay, Lions, now the Saints, he's going to do good stuff. So you don't really have to worry about that too much as a Saints fan because you're not going to have too much of a drop-off between Alvin and Jamal Williams. Mercedes Lewis. I got to talk about it because he used to be a Green Bay Packer. Mercedes Lewis is entering, I believe, his 18th year. That would be the longest time a tight end has ever played in the NFL. He will break the tie between him, Jason Witten, and Tony Gonzalez. So that's exciting that he's signed. I'm not too happy that it was with the Bears, but I'm glad he's still in the league and that he's playing, and I wish Green Bay brought him back. And the last little quick news before we get into the next segment is Johnny Manziel is talking about his attempted suicide and his $5 million binge. I don't really want to talk about it. I don't really care that much. Go ahead and look into it if you care about Johnny Manziel and you care about that stuff. I just personally don't, so I just want to let you know that's in the news. So this next part is different. This is the reason why today's video is so long, is I'm bringing on my friend Matt Hargett. He's going to be talking about some football stuff. He's a Broncos fan. He's been a Broncos fan since he was a little kid, and we talk a lot of football off screen, of course. So I thought it'd be really interesting to have him come on and we can talk about things. So that's what we're going to do right now, and I'll check you later. Welcome to Football Friday, and we have one of my best friends, Matthew Hargett, here in his Broncos hat. He's a lovely, avid Bronco fan, and I wanted to have him on the show so we can talk about some things that are in the news this past week and also talk about Sean Payton, but that is not till later. So first topic, Matthew, Jonathan Taylor. He's been in the news a lot this week. He's been asking for a trade, and I just wanted you to kind of break that down a little bit for us.
It's real interesting to see, actually. Like all of a sudden he's saying he wants a trade, and then out of nowhere they're saying he's hurt. I kind of think it's BS. I don't think he's actually hurt. He posted a tweet saying something about, like, I don't remember saying that I had back pain. So I kind of think that they're trying to do that just so they don't have to pay him. However, within a few days of that, I don't know if you saw, there's been multiple teams that have been shopping around, saying, "Hey, what do you want for him? Like, we'll trade our running backs. If you guys are having problems, maybe we could switch running backs and draft picks and things like that." So I don't know, man. It's real interesting. I'm curious what's going to happen in the next couple of weeks.
No, I feel you. I saw Jim Irsay go around and say something about it. If I died tonight and if you weren't in the league, like, it wouldn't matter. I was just like, that's a little weird. And come on,
That's
Jim Irsay.
Aggressive. That's very aggressive.
Straight up aggressive, dude. I did see that they went ahead and got that Indianapolis University running back from last year that was like doing all these records for the university, which was interesting. I don't really know what's gonna happen. I think he's probably gonna get forced to stay there, though.
I think so too. I think somehow they're gonna manage to make an agreement with a franchise tag, but I don't think after this year, at the most, he'll have one more year as a Colt, and then he'll probably be gone again, or he'll probably be gone.
No, it's sad. I was looking up his stats, and I'll go ahead and put them on the board, but like he had a monster year last year. Not last year, 2 years ago when he led
two
the
years ago.
league in 18 touchdowns and like
1,800 yards.
yeah, 1,800 yards. That's ridiculous. And then last year he was still on par to get that 1,000 yard season until he got hurt.
Yeah, I don't remember how many games he played. He had 860 yards, 4 touchdowns, not as many, but he still averaged 4.5 yards per game or per play. So he was still playing really, really well. And then obviously he got hurt. I don't know. Do you remember how many games he played? Like,
Yeah,
did he
I
play
believe
most of
it.
the
I
season?
believe it was 11 games that he got
11.
that he played before he got injured.
Okay.
But yeah, that 4.5 yards is like his career low. Uh,
Yeah.
but
Well,
he's
I
only
mean,
been in
he's
the
two
league for 3
years.
years. You know what I mean? So like,
Yeah.
he had that 2021 season, and it was like 5 yards an average, and then 2 years ago
But
that 5.5 yards, which was pretty solid. But even that 4.5 yards, that's like what we've
yeah.
talked about, like 3 yards minimum. Like that's
Yeah.
what I want out of
Three
my running
yards.
back because you
Yep.
can play four downs and get the first down every time. So I don't know. Just like a huge name in the league right now, so I'm excited to see what happens. But I hope
Yeah.
he
A lot
plays.
of controversy.
So, Matthew, as a Broncos fan, last week I went ahead and spoke about it last Friday, but Sean Payton said some comments, and I just wanted to have your opinion as a Broncos fan and your opinion as just an NFL fan, if you can take yourself and your bias out of that. So go ahead,
Yeah,
bro.
I can. So what I saw was he said something about like that might have been one of the worst coaching jobs in the history of the NFL. So you want my Bronco fan opinion first or my unbiased opinion
Okay,
first?
before you go into your Bronco fan, can you go
Go ahead.
ahead and just talk? Like, were you happy with Hackett last year? Like, how did you feel about Hackett?
I Okay, so in the beginning of the season, I was hopeful. I think he was talked up in a lot of ways. I was very hopeful. The first 3 games, I was like, okay, still rough. He's a new coach. By the end of the season, I didn't want him, and I understand like it's his first season as a head coach. I understand he's got um he's got a whole new team and a quarterback that just started with the team. Like there's a lot of cogs that are new, and he's trying to put them all together and make it work. But as a head coach, now see, I'm gonna do my Bronco fan first. You already got me there.
All right.
I think he did a horrible job. He needed he needed multiple supports. He had somebody that did time management, clock management, all that stuff. He had another guy that was running the plays. Like at this point, I feel like he just wasn't doing much as a head coach. I think he struggled left and right. I again, I understand it was his first season, and I hope for him. Like I'm not like I don't hate the guy. I hope he does well. I hope he does really well in at Jet in the in New York at the Jets. But as a head coach, I just don't think he was there yet. I don't think he was ready for it yet. I'm not saying it's impossible, just not yet.
Now, as a Green Bay fan, right, that he came from Green Bay, I was annoyed that you guys fired him the day after Christmas, and I am never a fan of a team hiring someone and letting them go ahead and change the full culture, and then just because they're not seeing success immediately, like I truly believe that coach should be hired with the intention, the full intention that you are the head coach for 3 years. First year, you kind of build that culture. Second year, we kind of see it get your playbook kind of get fully fledged out, and that third year is the year that you capitalize on that momentum that you build up the first 2 years. And so it was frustrating as a Green Bay Packers fan, a fan of Hackett, that he went there and then your brand new owner said, "Hey, get him out of here," the day after Christmas. Like your season was already over. So like it frustrates me.
Yeah,
So you see Sean Payton's comments as like true, like he was one of the worst NFL coaching jobs ever.
I from the time that I started watching football, yeah, he it was pretty much one of the worst I've ever seen. Um, the Christmas thing was a bit toxic. I definitely don't agree with that. Like at this point, you might as well keep him till the end of the year because what's the worst that's going to happen? So, like, at least like let him try some new things, because if he's gonna get better, it's because he's got a full year of experience, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Like, he's gonna get it all just because he's getting the experience. Like, what was it, like 2 more games
Yeah,
or
it's probably
something?
two,
I,
three more
I don't even
games.
know.
And
Like, just let him have those 2, 3 games. Maybe he throws some curveballs and tries some new things to see. Like, maybe he likes a different style, and then like next year would be better. But you just
like
didn't give him that much of a chance.
it wasn't like Urban Meyer, right? Urban Meyer and the Jacksonville Jaguars a couple years ago just had a lot of
Yeah.
off-field activities going wrong and on-field activities going wrong, and like I don't think anybody's saying Hackett's a bad person or he's a truly horrible coach to his players. He just didn't have on-field success, which is just annoying.
Right. Yes. I think there was a good culture that was being built. I think there was a lot of positive things being said in the beginning of the season. I just think there was a little bit of frustration because nothing was working. Nothing was meshing. And it's not all him. It was definitely a lot of Russell Wilson. I'm hoping now with Sean Payton being here, like maybe he'll instill some discipline in Russell, and maybe he'll be able to do better, be more disciplined, not take 30 seconds in the pocket. He I guess he's got to realize he's not the same guy he once was. He can't just be running around, trying to wait for an open receiver. Like, he doesn't have the same receivers. He doesn't have that same chemistry. Maybe this year might be a little bit different, but it's you're not the same person you were on the Seahawks. You just need to try to do something new.
See, like looking at Russell Wilson over the last couple months since the season ended, he's gotten leaner. He's probably a little quicker. He definitely had that whole year with your receivers, even though a few of them are injured now. But
Again.
again, I'm fine with Sean Payton taking what he quoted as dirty hands off of Russell Wilson because I think that will make Russell Wilson a better player if Sean Payton's saying it. I just feel like his comments about another head coach were just kind of off the wall. Like, you don't know the guy. I just felt like it was disrespectful. So
Yeah.
you said you have an unbiased opinion. So what's your unbiased opinion?
My unbiased, I is where I agree with you. I think like he didn't need to say what he said. It wasn't like you could have just left it and then showed them week 5 when we play each other. Like, this is how you coach a team. However, there's a comment Hackett said about there's a coaching code. You don't talk about other coaches like that.
It
I
doesn't happen. I feel like Hackett's kind of right. Do
I
you disagree?
I kind of disagree. I feel like that was him kind of deflecting. I think it was an excuse so that he could project all this back towards Peyton and kind of try to dilute the situation that's like being put in front of him. I don't think he really. I think he just didn't want all that heat on him, and on this situation. So he kind of shot back, being like, "Oh, you don't do that. It's a coach code. You don't do that." I just and this isn't my Broncos opinion. This is just my overall as a football fan. I just feel like it was kind of deflecting.
Like, I'll agree that it might be a little deflecting, but I just don't think it's up to the standard of an NFL head coach. There's only 32 jobs out there, right?
Yeah, it
You're one
might
of the
be.
best. Like, you just don't. You're so under pressure as a head coach, anyways, that you don't need to put any flame to the fire to somebody else and say, hey, this other guy was shit. When
Yeah,
he's
it.
a decent person and just didn't have on field success.
Yeah. Oh, he's a good guy, and it was definitely unprofessional by Sean Payton. I do agree with that. I'm just saying that I don't. I feel like I just really feel like it was a deflection back towards Sean Payton to just be like, "There's this code," and I'm sure there is a code, but to like just kind of openly bring it up is just kind of like, "Hey, man, what about this unspoken rule?"
Well, like, there's just unspoken rules everywhere, right? Like,
Yeah.
when you're playing baseball, you don't go ahead and hit the ball and like fling your bat at somebody, right? Like, you go ahead and throw it over. Like, there's unwritten rules in every sport, and I feel like one of the unwritten rules is that you go ahead and don't talk about another coach. until you're out of the game. And like he said, he had his Fox hat on, but the man was only a Fox analyst for a year. Mind that Aaron Rodgers went ahead and defended him, and I felt like Aaron Rodgers defending Hackett was not fully needed, but I liked it. Like, he's still standing up for his guy that got to the Jets, and he came to the Jets for him. And again, that was the whole reason the Broncos brought in Hackett in the first place last year, was because they thought they were going to get Aaron Rodgers.
Wishful thinking. Yeah. Aaron Rodgers defends his people. We've seen that time and time again. He almost could predict it was going to happen. Again, it's not something I don't hate. I don't hate that it happened. I'm not even going to say like I care. I didn't even care about the whole comment in the first place. It's just
the news be doing news stuff, especially during the offseason.
Yep. They got to have something to report. So, he said something. And I saw something that was like, I think like maybe Sean Payton thought he was off record, and whoever he was talking to thought they were on record. So like his comment kind of got leaked type of thing. But regardless, what was said was said. Apologies were thrown around, whether they were true or not. Return shots were fired. Rodgers had his own comments, which he always does in his own fashion.
Well, going from one Green Bay quarterback to another, Jordan Love. I got to talk about Jordan Love because I love Jordan Love right now. His camp had some ups and downs, but have you seen any of his stuff?
Not a lot of training camp. I've seen a couple throws. He hasn't been bad. I'll tell you, I mean, obviously, I have been the biggest Jordan Love hater. A lot of it's out of jokes because I know it gets to you, but also that game, I remember we watched that game against the Chiefs, and it was just a horrendous and embarrassing game to watch. Now, that was like 2 years ago, and last year he got like a good solid game against the Eagles. I don't remember if they won or not, but I remember watching a lot of the plays and seeing him make a lot of smart decisions. He took his time. He got out of the pocket when it was collapsing. He made some really, really tight throws, really good spirals, really accurate passes. So there's definitely something there. If he develops it, he could be really good. He could be great.
Yeah, we could have another 15 years of another Hall of Fame quarterback.
Yeah. Wouldn't you be so lucky to have a third Hall of Fame quarterback?
It would be. It would be.
Yeah, if he doesn't dial that in right, like you said, his training camp's been 50-50.
Yeah, his training camp has been. And as that Kansas City game was very ugly. But again, he wasn't getting too many reps in practice. He was getting a little bit because Aaron Rodgers had that whole COVID toe and everything else. And then the reason why he wasn't able to play was because he caught COVID during the middle of the season. And that was a giant controversy, if you remember that. But
I do.
He got thrusted in there at like last minute. It's not like he was prepared. So he's had this whole offseason to be like, hey, I'm the man. I know I'm the man. Even during the whole Jets rumors, he knew that he was going to be traded. So Jordan Love could prepare to be the man coming in. And his teammates are backing him. Looking at his throws, he's been throwing some dimes. Like, do you remember the first game? You might not, but of Green Bay's this past season? The first game... The first play of that game, Aaron Rodgers threw a super dime. It was like a 60-yard pass to Christian Watson. He had it in his hands and he dropped it. That was the first play of Green Bay season. And they did a similar play to that just yesterday, I believe it was, and perfect. It was perfectly caught. So Christian Watson feels like he's more developed. We have Romeo Doubs feeling more developed. We brought in that second round wide receiver, a couple second and third round tight ends. And Jordan Love is looking pretty dang good. I don't know. I'm excited. I just wanted to hear you say that you were excited. That's all.
I don't know if I'd say I'm excited, but I'm always interested to see how Green Bay plays. I was always a fan of Rodgers, which made me kind of support Green Bay silently. Like, there's a couple teams that I do that for. Um, so I'm definitely going to be watching because your team is a wild card team that I'm very curious how they're going to do. So there's a
especially in
couple
a weak
teams that
NFC.
have, yeah, yeah. There's a couple teams that I'm just curious because of like certain players I like to watch and certain situations that I'm watching how they develop and I'm watching how these players are going to build to see if they develop into some fun games to watch, some fun players to watch. So I'm excited.
I know football's almost here. We
It's
have what the
almost
we have a game tonight, that Hall of Fame game. That's not really going to matter, but we might see some Aaron Rodgers in his Jets uniform, which is
yeah,
exciting.
maybe sitting on the
Maybe,
sideline
maybe. I hope he
watching.
plays a little bit. Just like even if they put him in for a drive, I think it would make New York City so happy. Unless he
Yeah, I always
intercepted.
feel like they will, but like that's kind of I think it's hopeful thinking, wishful thinking.
Yeah. I know we made a list of things to talk about. So the last thing we have would be going into your tier list for your wide receiver cores throughout the league and your top 10. So if you want to go ahead and start that, starting at the 10th spot, and we'll go up to one.
So number 10. All right. So we're starting at 10. This is definitely biased. The, number 10 is definitely a bias. However, I put Denver Broncos at number 10. Jerry Judy and Cortland Sutton are a solid duo. And the reason I have them at 10 is because if Tim Patrick was healthy, that trio would be incredible. If Russell Wilson plays this year like we all predicted him to play, that would have been an incredible trio. But as a duo, still really, really good. Jerry Judy has one of the best footwork in the game. Cortland Sutton has just been reliable under pressure. Um, and we also have KJ Hamler, who's not like a real big guy, but he's really fast. He's going to be our deep threat. And he did just have some issues, and he's taking like a small leave of absence. But he said he should be back. I don't know if it's for the first game of the season, but he'll be back this year. He'll be back before he'll be back pretty early on in this season.
Yeah, something for
So
a heart conditioner, somewhat, right?
yeah, some kind of heart condition. It apparently wasn't super serious. It's something that'll go away. So it's not like he's like I guess he's not dying. I think he's just it says something about I remember seeing something saying agitated. So there
Okay.
might be some irritation or something. So
And then how long is Patrick out for? Tim Patrick, right?
the whole season
He's out for the whole
again.
season.
That is
Okay.
back-to-back seasons, and with Jerry Judy and Cortland Sutton, Tim Patrick was there 3 seasons ago, and he was probably the best player, like most consistent player. He had probably the most yards. He was reliable. I couldn't even tell you who my quarterback was back then. I blanked so much of the Denver season in the last few years out. But Tim Patrick was that guy. He was the one that was like the go-to receiver at that point. So unfortunately, with him being out, it really hurts. I feel like there's like I'm like hoping and wishing like maybe they got something wrong. Maybe he didn't actually tear his Achilles. But unfortunately, I don't see him coming back this year. Maybe we're lucky we see him next year. If they don't trade him or drop him, we'll see.
No, it's
But yeah,
always the worst when a star player goes out.
it's the
It's devastating.
worst. I was so excited. I was so excited because he's just so good. He's not like he's been this low key guy this whole time. Like nobody's ever seen him like as a star. I feel like nobody's ever seen him as like a real star, even though he's been like one of the most consistent players on the field.
I feel like Broncos receivers are never seen as a star. Like
No,
even Demarius
before
Thomas, like
I thought Demarius Thomas was really good for a while. I mean, back when Peyton was there and he got the 55-yard or 55 touchdowns,
season, yeah.
like that was the most. I forgot what they said. I mean, obviously it was the most touchdowns by a quarterback. It was the most like I think there were three receivers that had 10+ touchdowns that season.
Sounds like a Madden
So
season.
yeah, it was nuts. So
Yeah.
That's it for the Broncos. For number 9, I got the Ravens.
Mm.
So we know OBJ is OBJ. Again,
We'll
this one
see
might
if
be a
he
little
is.
questionable,
He
huh?
was out all last year, right? So we'll
I
see
know.
if he's
Yeah,
still OBJ.
I believe in OBJ. I think he'll have a bounce back season. I definitely don't believe that he'll be as fresh as he was on the Giants. Um, However, I think he's still got a lot of wisdom with the age he's had, and he's still gonna have the hands.
Yeah, and
He just may not
Bateman's
have.
going into his second season, so having him there is going to be helpful.
Yeah. And then they have this guy named Zay Flowers that they just picked up. And I have watched a little bit of his training camp and rookie stuff. He's gonna be an explosive kid. Man, I'm just excited to see. They're saying that he's unstoppable in training camp right now. That's what I've been seeing. They're
That's
saying that
exciting.
he's unstoppable. He's got the cuts, he's got the hands, he's got a little bit of everything. So he might bring in a lot of solid potential to this team.
And he's got a
That's why
solid last name.
that's why I put him on the that's why I put him at number 9 because OBJ is OBJ. Rashad Bateman is very consistent and reliable, and Zay Flowers is looking explosive. So I'm really curious to see them.
Yeah, like I'm not super upset about that one, but as we go ahead and through your hierarchy,
Yeah,
I've
you're
got
gonna
some
complain about
questions,
them.
but
I'm
keep going,
sure. I'm
keep going.
sure. I'm sure. I'm sure. All right. Well, number 8, we got the Bears. I like the
Mm-hmm.
Bears receivers. I think Chase Claypool is a dominant player. I was surprised when Pittsburgh let him go.
I was too.
DJ Moore, he came from the Panthers, right? No.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah.
So he
Good
hasn't
player.
really
Don't know
had
why
a
they
good quarterback to throw to him.
what. Oh, and on the Panthers, right? Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. I was
Uh,
hopeful that we were going to pick him up last year during the season. There was some
you
trade
were
talks between
hopeful
Green
they were
Bay
going to pick
and
up any
Panthers.
receiver,
That's true, and Green Bay does what Green Bay does and doesn't fucking do
and
anything.
then not a single one was picked up. Matter of
No.
fact, you lost a couple.
Yeah, this season we
Yeah.
drafted a wide receiver, and we might have drafted multiple, but one good wide receiver, and we didn't pick up a free agent wide receiver, just like we never do. It's just so frustrating. And again, we lost Lazard, Randall Cobb, which is like my favorite receiver in the league right now. Not the best, but like my favorite. And just we didn't even re-sign Mercedes Lewis. So I'm not so happy about Green Bay, and I'm not surprised they're not on your list, but they will be at the end of the season. Okay, they will
Okay,
be.
sure. I think Green Bay has this philosophy of we could just pick players up off the street, and as long as our quarterback can throw, then we'll be fine.
It's not a good philosophy.
The Bears also got Darnell Mooney, who's
Yeah,
not. I mean, he's definitely a name. He's definitely a name. He's reliable for sure. Um, I think he's going to be someone that you're not going to have to worry about because if they're going to be covering DJ Moore and Chase Claypool so hard, Darnell Mooney might just slip through the cracks, however that saying goes.
true. I just
So
don't see a world that the Bears win more than like 5 games next year. And if they're not winning more than 5 games, I don't see how they can be in the top 10.
I believe in Justin Fields. I think he is a great quarterback that just hasn't had a lot of.
Talent
He hasn't had
or
enough
coaches
development.
or
He
anything.
hasn't had coaches, a line. The man's had to turn into a running back for a couple games, but he's got good passes. He's got a better receiving core this year.
He does.
I'm looking forward to this. I'm looking forward to the Bears this season. They're going to be ones. They're one of those teams I was talking about earlier that I'm going to be watching. Justin Fields is one of those guys I like, and I believe he's going to be a good quarterback. So I think he's going to be in the top. I say definitely top 10 this year,
As a
even if he's
quarterback?
10th. Yeah, even
That's
if he's
wild.
10th, I think he might be top 10 this year.
We might have to talk about that in a different week of what your top
Okay.
quarterbacks are because I did a hierarchy a couple weeks ago for like a 5 week series, and I have him as like an unproven talent, right, or a solid starter. I think I put him as a solid
Which
starter,
is
Which, like, I have faith in
Unproven
him.
talent is fair
I just
as
don't
well.
think you'll be good on the Bears ever again. Like, the Bears are just done. Like, since 1985, they've just been shit. Even that Super Bowl they went to, what, in 2007, 2006, whenever that was, just it's the Bears. I'm sorry. They just got bad luck.
The bad luck Bears, the bad news
Yeah.
Bears, whatever the Bears are, they're just bad.
Yeah, they're owned by Aaron Rodgers, even if he's in New York now.
We'll see, man. We'll see. I believe they're gonna have. I'm not saying they're gonna be Super Bowl contenders, but I believe there's a potential for some playoff caliber this year.
Yeah,
I believe they could be. Maybe wild card. Maybe they get a seed. It's a tough division this year. I think your division might be the biggest wild card for a potential tough division.
yeah.
You guys got a lot of young people out there trying to compete.
Green Bay's a
And
whole
then you
new
got
team,
Kirk Cousins.
but the Vikings did an awful job. Their defense wasn't that great last year, and they haven't made many, like, they didn't make any improvements. They lost key players this offseason, so their defense is going to be worse than it was last year.
That's fair.
Vikings won, I think, 9 games last year that were in one possession games. They won 9 of those, which just doesn't happen. So I don't think they're going to have that lady luck.
Teams.
Like, the highlight is Justin Jefferson, which it is.
Which conveniently number 7 is the Vikings.
Oh my goodness. Go ahead.
All right. For some reason, Mike wants to hate on Justin Jefferson.
I don't want to hate. He's just in the top 10, but he's not number 1, number 2, number 3. He's just not.
He is number 1 in a lot of people's books, and he might be in mine. Justin Jefferson is one of those guys. I saw this catch from training camp yesterday, I think, where he just kind of casually caught it with one hand. Like, I'm gonna have to show you that clip later. It was insane. Like, he's doing it with ease.
So does Devontae Adams. So does DeAndre Hopkins.
Oh, of course. I'm not saying that they're not. Let's talk. I mean, Tyreek, Devontae Adams, Lamar Chase, AJ Brown, CeeDee Lamb is nuts. Like, and people give him a lot of hate. I think he's a really good receiver. I think he's made some insane catches. I just think I think he tries to do too much. But we could talk about him later.
Sure.
We're talking about the Vikings right now. So they got Justin Jefferson.
Yep.
They have C.J. Osborne.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing crazy. They lost Adam Thielen this year.
Yes.
A little disappointing. However, they got this guy. I think they drafted him 22nd overall, Jordan Addison.
Okay. Yeah.
He's gonna be that guy. They're talking about him. Getting real comfortable in the game and like learning a lot of the micro details of the game, like with Kirk Cousins. And I believe with Justin Jefferson being as good as he is, there's going to be a lot of double coverages this year. And with that leaves plays for Jordan Addison or KJ Osborne opened up to be able to show the vulnerabilities on defense. So I think this team is number 7 for that reason. I think even if Justin Jefferson doesn't have a breakout year just like he did last year, I think that he is going to be playing a lot of support in that ways where these other receivers are going to be able to step up and make big plays.
Well, I think that they're going to have a lot of practice at the very least because their defense is going to let every other team score on them, that they'll be out there for the majority of the time. So
they're going to be exhausted. A lot of heat exhaustion this year.
It's going to be rough.
All right. So that's the Vikings. Number 6, I have the Bills.
The Bills, yes.
The Buffalo Bills.
Which their wide receiver 1 is a lot better than the Vikings wide receiver 1.
He's definitely top 10. I don't know about better than Justin Jefferson. Stephon Diggs is and has always been reliable.
And used to play in the Vikings.
Used to play in the Vikings. He's the reason they beat the Saints and then went to lose the next week. He is a dog. He is insane. I'm not gonna take anything away from him. He is an incredible player. And they have Gabe Davis as well over there. So. Yeah. Those two for sure are a power duo. They got Khalil Shakir. I don't know if you've heard of him. Didn't watch a whole lot on him, but he's one of their receivers. So that's the trio on that team. So
yeah, Stephon Diggs.
And I'm sure after this year, I'm sure after this year, Khalil might have a name for himself too, especially when you got those two. Like I said about the last couple, this is going to be the same story I'm going to say about a lot of them. When you have a player like Stephon Diggs or Justin Jefferson on your team, there's going to be your star cornerbacks are going to be covering those players, leaving some of these players able to open up and take deep shots or take underneath the linebackers and potentially make big plays. So that's why I left him on my list of receivers, because you never know what he's going to do, who he's going to be. So
Yeah, for sure. I do know that he has to, compete against the Jets twice this year, and the Jets defense is probably going to look pretty fantastic, just like last year, and not have to be on the field all the time because,
yeah.
offense will be
Well,
looking at
I
other
know
stuff.
that their Bills receivers are definitely going to have a lot of play time, seeing how the Bills don't like to use their running backs, and even if they did, they don't have one. So
Josh Allen can run, put it all on his back.
Josh Allen can run. Yeah. Until he can't, because he tries to be mobile and he's going to hurt himself.
Yeah.
That's
So
how it always happens.
what's number 5? I don't even remember.
Number 5 is going to be the Miami Dolphins. Miami Dolphins. Tyreek for sure is a top 3 receiver in my mind. Top
For sure.
3.
Jalen
He
Waddle,
is
top
the
5.
fastest. Jalen Waddle, top 10 receiver for sure. Maybe top 15. That's about all they got though. They only got 2. Like I know, like the last one I said, we don't really know who that guy is, but they got some guy named Cedric Wilson. I watched a little bit on him. He could be a sleeper. He played on the Cowboys. He's got like 900 yards to his name, but he's been playing since 2018.
Yeah.
He's not somebody I'd be expecting to do a lot because, again, you got Tyreek and Jalen Waddle.
And as long as Tua's not passed out on the field, they're going to get the ball and a
Hopefully,
lot of yards and a lot of touchdowns. And we talked about this beforehand. Dolphins are my number 1 wide receiver core. So it just saddens my heart to be number 5.
I think I was generous putting him at 5. I don't think if you look at the list, they're going to be at 5. But good luck with that.
Who do you have as a number 4?
Tua, man.
Oh, yeah,
Tua's
go
got to
ahead.
strengthen his neck. He's just got to do some neck exercises, man. He's got to keep that head off the ground.
Yeah, he needs to talk to Lamar Jackson because that man's neck is thick.
Number 4, I had the Raiders because I really like Devontae Adams. I think he is a stud. He has. Does he have the most touchdowns in a season, or did he tie the most?
I think he was like 3rd or 4th all
17?
time.
Okay, I
But
thought he tied like
he tied the most for Green Bay that year. I believe.
Okay.
And then, but still, I think it was like 4th best wide receiver touchdowns in a season.
It was a lot. It was
17,
17, I believe, right?
Honestly, I can't remember off the top of my head right now. I'll go ahead and put it on the screen. Right. But the Devontae Adams is, I know I'm biased for this, but he is my number 1 receiver in the league. Because he is. His foot placement, the way he can just get into the heads of the cornerbacks. He's fast. He's not the fastest guy out there, but he just makes the impossible plays possible. Like every single day. He's amazing.
It was 18, by the way. 18.
Man's genius. 18?
Yeah. It's actually, I pulled up his stats. It's interesting. He had 1,300 yards with you guys, 18 touchdowns, 2020. Mm-hmm. The next year, he had 1,500 yards, 11 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Raiders, he came in, had 1,500 yards, 14 touchdowns.
Yeah, he truly proved last year that he is still
dominant no matter where he is. Yeah. So, yeah, you got to give it to the guy. He has been reliable 3 years in a row. I'd argue 5 years in a row.
I want to say since his 3rd year in the season, he was really starting to get in there. But who's their other receivers on that team?
So they got Jacoby Myers, who's been reliable, and they also have Hunter Renfrow, who made a name for himself last year.
Yeah, true.
So it's hard to argue. Like, I think 4 is a good placement because I think they just have a solid a solid core. I honestly could switch them to third and put my
Mm.
number 3 and 4. Now that I'm really thinking about it, but it's I'll explain in a little bit
I still,
why I switched it up.
I would still take Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle over Devontae Adams and Hunter Renfrow any day, any day.
Man, I think if I had to pick a receiver core to put on the Broncos, it would between those two, it would probably be the Raiders core because as much as Tyreek is speed, Devontae is hands, footwork. He's got everything else. I'm not saying Tyreek doesn't, but Devontae's one up him in both of those situations.
Yeah,
Tyreek sometimes is too fast for his own good.
that's because
Like you
Patrick
remember
couldn't throw that
Tua in
far.
the beginning of last year at training camp, he was struggling to even throw the ball to the kid because he's just so fast. He's
No,
outrunning the throws.
I don't think that's a negative, but keep going, man.
It is and it isn't because you have to now you have to adjust you have to adjust a whole different throw just for one player. Be like, all right, when I'm throwing to him, I got to throw real hard or real far to the left. If he's running like right to left, I got to throw pretty much on the sideline because that man's going to be there before I even get the ball out.
Fair enough.
So maybe I'm just complaining to find a reason to defend
Hate
my
on the
placements,
Dolphins.
but
Yeah, it's fine. What's your third?
okay. Anyways, number 3 is the Cowboys. I like the
Mm.
Cowboys setup. I think, like I said, the more I look at it, the more I'm like, maybe I could have put them 4 or 5, but I'm gonna defend them. They CD Lamb, CD Lamb is a goat. That man has some of the best catches in the game. And this is what I was saying earlier. I think he does too much. I think this is the reason he's been getting a lot of hate is because he does too much. He's trying to make that spectacular catch every game. He doesn't have to do that. If he would just stop trying to do that, it's a whole different ball game. Like I don't know, man. Do you remember that catch? I don't even remember who he was playing against. Maybe the Giants. Um, he 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 was jumping backwards parallel with the ground and caught the ball. It was something insane. It was one of the best catches I've seen, like top 5 in since I've been watching football, I think. So, but there's more than just CeeDee Lamb. They got Brandon Cooks, who I think everybody knows is a standout, consistent, reliable receiver.
Dude,
He's got the speed, he's got the hands, he's got the dedication. He's been on a couple teams and proved his worth every time.
every time he's had 1,000 yards on every team he's gone to, with these
Every team.
shit ass quarterbacks every time. So I'm excited to have him with Prescott. We were in trade talks right before the trade deadline last year to get him to get onto Green Bay's team, and we were so close. And I don't know why we didn't pull the trigger on him, because looking at what they traded for him to get Brandon Cooks there, I believe it was like next to nothing. And I'm just so pissed off because we could have got him in the middle of the season and probably saved our season last year. Because again, the man's a monster. He's so quick. He's so just dominant. So yeah, no, I'm excited. I'm fine with you putting him in the top 3, or the
Yeah.
whole core in the top 3.
And we can't forget about Michael Gallup.
No,
He's
you're right.
he's super consistent, super reliable. Like that's if there's one word I'd give this entire team of receivers, it's reliable.
No,
Like I feel like I could throw it up to any of these guys and they're gonna make the catch.
he's probably the best wide receiver 3 in the league.
Well, arguably,
Yeah.
I'd say they're the third best.
Well, I meant that he's the third best wide receiver, like the best wide receiver 3.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's fair. All right, number 2. I feel like we're getting to the predictability since they haven't been said yet. Number 2 is going to be the Eagles. I don't know if there's any argument here. AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, Quez Watkins. I haven't seen a trio like this. There haven't been many like this. AJ Brown is just AJ Brown. Like, do I have to say anything else?
Why
Devontae
why the
Smith,
Titans get rid of him?
I, they just are not thinking with their brain. I can say that much. They AJ Brown is something special, and he came to the Eagles and immediately was a force. He was
Facts.
like, "Hey man, I'm here to be someone," and he proved it. I think then you got, well, who do you got? Devontae Smith. I don't know. Have you seen a lot about Devontae Smith?
Well, he came from Alabama. He's a skinny, twitchy player. That's really all I really know about him. But he seemed
All
like he
right.
did a pretty good job last year.
Let me tell you this. I thought he was overhyped and nothing. Then they played us. I think it was 2 years ago. 2 years ago. That man made Pat Surtain look like a third string cornerback. Like he he was catching one-handers, he was catching toe tap sideline catches. He was making some insane plays. And I was like, I can't even be mad anymore. It's Devontae Smith. It's that guy. He's that guy. He is that guy. He would, if AJ Brown wasn't there, he's easily a wide receiver one. Easily. That's how much I believe that guy is that guy.
Yeah, no,
So
he's pretty great. He's pretty solid. Now, before you go ahead and explain your number one, I have a question, and it is, how can you justify not putting the Los Angeles Chargers on this list? Keenan Allen, Mike Williams. I just don't understand how they're not on this list. I think it's your Bronco bias.
you can argue it. I'm gonna tell you my real bias for that team. I believe Keenan Allen is overhyped.
Mm.
I believe he is a baby. He's a big crybaby. Um, I remember, I don't know how many times. First of all, he's been hurt. Um, and how many times I've picked him up at fantasy leagues in faith, and he's gone out. He's been inconsistent. He's been unreliable. I know he's got multiple 1,000-yard games or seasons. I just don't trust them to be reliable all season long. Mike Williams, you can make that argument for. Mike Williams has been pretty darn good. Um, I just don't believe in Keenan Allen, and because of that, I'm not putting him up there with just one receiver. You
Well,
want my hard truth. It's not actually because I'm a Bronco fan. It's just because I don't believe in Keenan Allen like that.
they also got Quentin Johnston, but we don't need to talk about him being pretty decent. I think he was like sixth that last year in yards after the catch. So I'm just saying, with those three, with Justin Herbert getting paid, getting into his second or third year with this new head coach, and first year with what I'm going to say Keenan Allen, but it's not Keenan Allen. Who is their new offensive coordinator? Kellen Moore. Yes. So with Kellen Moore gone to them, and he's saying that everybody's getting that new offense down. Like, I think they're going to do some magic with him. I hope they make the playoffs this year, and I'm just disappointed that you don't have them on this list, especially when you got the
We'll
Broncos
see.
and the Baltimore Ravens and some of these other teams. But
I think we need to have a video at the end of the year, at the end of the season, to see how close I was
yeah, we can
to
go.
top
We can go ahead and
accurate
do
top
that.
10. You know,
Yeah, we'll talk about we'll see what happens. I'm sure, because every year we have a quarterback go out, right? Like every year there's at least one quarterback that goes out, so that's going to change the landscape of what's going on. It was a big scare last week with Joe Burrow, so one of these quarterbacks is going to get injured, going to get out, and their wide receivers are going to be basically useless unless
yeah.
like
Which conveniently, my number one pick already has an injured quarterback,
yeah.
and that's the Bengals. The Bengals, I think there's no doubt in my mind, in a lot of people's mind, that the Bengals are the number one receiver core. In the last couple years, you have Lamar Chase, Jamar Chase, Lamar
Jamar Chase.
Chase, Jamar Chase. Okay, I thought I said that wrong. You have T. Higgins. You have Tyler Boyd. That's not even like I didn't even talk about tight ends on this list, but then they got a top tier tight end as well. Like there is no doubt in my mind that you put that trio with any quarterback that they're not going to make that quarterback look like the best quarterback to ever walk this earth.
Look, if you're going to bring tight ends to it, you're going to have to talk about the Chiefs.
Oh, 100%, 100%.
Because the Chiefs, with Travis
If we
Kelce
bring
being
tight ends
amazing,
into it, then yeah,
and
the Chiefs are instantly in the top 10. I don't know about top 5, but top 10 for sure.
but you hate the
But they
Chiefs
have
and you hate the Chargers because you're a Bronco.
they
It's
have
cool.
MVS, and you know for a fact how unreliable he is.
Butter hands, man.
Butter hands, man. Yeah, well, let's give him that name.
Dude,
So,
MVS hurts my soul as a Packers fan. So
and
many
there's
games are
some guy named
lost.
Sky Moore. I've never heard of that guy.
Oh, Sky Moore, dude. I think he was a second round pick last year. His speed was supposed to be pretty dang great. So who knows? Again, you can get receivers anywhere, and they can turn out terrible. They can turn out great in the whole entire draft. So Devontae Adams, second round. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
you just never know. What was it? Sammy Watkins. What was he, like, sixth overall, and he just hasn't ever developed into a great wide receiver?
He was great for like a season or two.
He was all right for a season for like a rookie, but like he still isn't top notch. And he was on our team last year, and I was hopeful that he was going to do great, but he never could get on that same page as Aaron Rodgers, and he got a little injured, and they let him go.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
are you happy with this list?
I am. Like I said, I could move the Cowboys down a little bit, maybe. But outside of that, I'm pretty sure. Again, the only thing that's going to mess this up, like you said, is going to be our quarterback's going to get hurt. Is Joe Burrow going to be back before the start of the season? Is he going to be able to prove that that's a number one receiving core? Probably not. I think he's going to be out for a few weeks, so they're probably going to be crippled for yards. But to be fair, I think the Bengals have been pretty consistent in saying that the first 3 to 5 games have been a struggle, and after that they just dominate. They're like a slow to warm up team, and then by the end they are Super Bowl caliber team. They're a weird group on how they warm up and get started. So
No, you got to get hot at the end of the season. Is really what it is. As long as you get hot and you get into that playoff bracket, then you can just keep doing things. But I know this isn't on our list, but if you had to pick your Super Bowl matchup, who would you go ahead and choose?
like, who do I think is going to be there?
Yeah, like who do you think is the best team on the AFC and NFC sides?
I think the Eagles make a repeat. I think there's potential with San Francisco, but I think they don't even know what they're doing right now. Even though, and for a third place, my wild card prediction would be the Chicago Bears.
That's so wild.
So that's going to be my top 3 NFC teams this year. My third is going to be always going to be the wild card. I think AFC is so stacked. I'm not going to even put Denver on there. I'm not going to be biased. I think I want to put the Bengals on there.
Okay.
But it just I'm not going to. And the reason I'm not going to is going to be because Burrow, is he hurt? How is he going to be? Is he going to be able to bounce back this season? I really want to say he will, but I think I'm going to start with Chiefs.
That's a good
I think
pick.
I'm going to put the Jets. And then I think my sleeper is going to be the Ravens. Not even though they're not really a sleeper, but they haven't been much past the playoffs.
If
But I
Lamar
think
wasn't
that
injured last year, they would have.
Yeah. I don't know to what extent he was truly injured, but I think that he is going to be something of a force now that he's gotten paid. I think he's now going to be like, all right, let me show you what I can do, especially with that receiver core they got. I'm telling you, they might do something crazy this year.
Mark Andrew on there, dude. I believe in the Ravens. Their defense is
Oh yeah,
always top 10, like definitely always top 15, and just Lamar Jackson, as long as he does what he does, he's one of the best quarterbacks in the league. When he's at his full throttle, he is as talented, as good, as able to make plays as anybody, including Patrick Mahomes. It's just he's not that consistent top tier. I believe he's a consistent great quarterback, but not at the same level as Mahomes. But if he gets on fire, he can go ahead and beat them. So
yeah. He's very. I think he's not run game alone, but like he's got some real dots for passes. They're on point.
no, they are. And again, he's a big, fast guy, so he can do it
Yep.
all.
So probably then Chiefs versus I see a repeat Super Bowl Chiefs versus Eagles.
We haven't
But
had one of those in a long
there's
time.
some hope. There's some hope. I'm pulling for the Bears.
I we can go through my whole entire list after this off camera, but dude, I have the Chicago Bears being the worst team or second worst team in the NFC, I believe. Or the third, I think it's
Right.
Cardinals, Falcons, Bears is what I have.
Who'd you say last year was the worst team in the entire NFL? Who was that again?
That was the Seattle Seahawks, but all things were showing that Geno Smith wouldn't have anything like he had last year. He's never played to that. He had the best season of his year in his
He played for
eighth season. That's wild. That's never
he
happened.
played for the Jets. Like, what is he going to show?
But
Jets
it
are one
wasn't
of those
just the
teams
Jets.
that
He got
quarterbacks
passed
came
around.
and died for a long time.
Yeah, R.I.P.
Faith,
Aaron
man.
Rodgers.
You just gotta have faith. Like I'm pulling for Taylor Heineke on the Falcons. I don't know if he's going to do anything because it's the Falcons.
Yeah, they might
should
start
never know.
Desmond Ridder, dude. We'll see what happens if he actually gets a start over him.
We'll see if he's even playing well.
Desmond or
Desmond. Taylor Heineke, we know how he's going to play.
He's
Nothing
gonna play with his
crazy,
heart.
but like with his heart, exactly. The heart and determination he puts into every game. That's what I love to watch.
Well, my camera just died, so I'm now faceless. But
Well, perfect time to end this segment. I
yeah,
think.
perfect time again, Matt. I appreciate you coming on. And we
Yeah.
should do this again and get a little bit better answers out of you than the Broncos being top 10 and wide receiver core.
Just
That's
wait.
so wild.
By the end of this season, they're going to be top 5. So.
I hope they do good. I really do. I'm rooting for Russell Wilson to
Yeah,
have a
me
bounce
too.
back year. I now am not rooting for the Broncos because of Sean Payton's comments, though, because he's an ass.
Well,
Either way,
that's fine.
thank you guys for watching, and we'll talk to you later. Love you. Bye, Matt.
Deuces.